will concentrate on two classes, the final stages of the funny car and top fuel events. Now, it's claimed that at their terminal speed, the cars are travelling faster than they would be if they'd been dropped off the Empire State Building. Certainly, in most cases, it wouldn't be quite so messy. Fighting against the roar of the engines and the fumes of the fuel is the commentary team of Sam Posey and Chris Economaki.
Now, Hawley on the near lane in the red car. He's from London, Ontario, and has been the fastest qualifier and fast all meet long. Beetle in the far lane in the Blue Max is a three-time world champion. It should be a fine race as they enter the staging area. Uh-oh, Hawley's backing up, Sam.
Well, Chris, what I think happened when he did his burnout a moment ago, Hawley didn't get the traction he wanted, and his crew chief motioned him to move slightly to the side. He's moved about a yard to his left there.
Well, this is going to upset Beetle because these engines are heating up. There's no radiators, no water, no cooling system. It could be a costly delay for Raymond Beetle.
Well, exactly. These cars can... Oh, look at that. Beetle is backing up. He's pulling a maneuver of his own. So we have a heavy psychological implications here before the start.
I would say that the temper has gone up in the blue car. I really would. Waiting now for the light, Buster Couch, the flag band, to press the button, sending these two semifinalists on their way. Hawley on the near lane, Beetle on the far side. Down the strip, it's close, close, close. And at the end, it's Beetle at 5.975 seconds, 244.56 miles an hour. And Hawley was even quicker at 5.969, but he didn't get there first. And so the Blue Max goes to another final round.
Well, of course, Chris, both drivers see the green light at exactly the same instant, but in this case, it was Beetle who reacted faster. I think getting angry there on the line had the effect of sharpening his reflexes.
And milliseconds win and lose this kind of racing. Al Segrini, a proper Bostonian in the near line for the second semifinal. His last victory, his only victory, came in '74. He goes against Doc Halliday of St. Paul, who's never won a national event, and the two cars come to the staging area.
When the electric eye on the left is broken by the nose of the car, that's called pre-stage. The center eye signals staging. The right beam triggers the clock as the car starts its run toward the speed trap, here at the other end of the course. The trap is 132 feet long. It's divided in half by the finish line, and it is through this trap that the car's speeds are recorded.
And those speeds sometimes are as high as 245 miles an hour. Okay, here we are on the line. Segrini in the near lane gets off fast, and Halliday has a bad start, and it's going to be Segrini with an easy win. And he stops the clock at 237.36 miles an hour, 6.217 seconds. And Al Segrini goes to a final for the first time since 1974. Is he a happy fellow from the state of Massachusetts? So the final will be Blue Max Beetle and Super Brute Segrini. Top fuel time now, and everyone on the grounds is talking about Ladies' Day at the drag. Shirley Muldowney, the only two-time world champion, all set for her semifinal, and Lucille Lee, a secretary, has made the semifinal. Shirley Muldowney and Jeb Allen, Dick LaHaye and Lucille Lee, two men, two women in the semifinals. And here comes one of the coolest professionals in all of drag racing, Shirley Muldowney. No drag racer other than Shirley has ever won 2 world championships. She's on her burnout. It looks as though we may well have an all-girl final. And earlier, I talked to Shirley about the prospects of such an event taking place here today.
I think that's great. I think it's really good for the sport. What I see out of Lucille, I like. And it would be different, wouldn't it? I don't plan to lose it, though.
Well, of course, before she would get a crack at Lucille Lee, she must first dispense with this man, Jeb Allen, 27 years old, just back from a tour of racing in Australia, the winner of this event last year, the Winternationals last year. So, 2 world champions facing off against each other, Shirley Muldowney and Jeb Allen.
And everyone is on the qui-vive. They're rooting for an all-girl final in the grandstands here. A record crowd, 61,000 so far for the meet. And Shirley lifts up the front wheels, but outraces Allen at the start. And Allen shuts off, and it's an easy one for Shirley. She clocked 5.872, an under 6-second run, despite the fact that Allen slowed. 242.58 miles an hour. And Shirley Muldowney goes to another final round. Will she have a female opponent?
Well, here's her crew, obviously delighted. Ron Tobler is her chief mechanic, and her son, John, works on the team. Shirley, a quarter of a mile away, is obviously delighted, but now there's very little time to get ready for the final.
And here's the remarkable Lucille Lee, a Long Beach, California secretary who last summer told her boss, who owns his car, that she thought it would be fun to drive his car. So he took her down to the drag strip, put her in it, and gave her some runs which were critiqued. Then she went to the U.S. Nationals in Indianapolis, and lo and behold, set fast time on opening day. Now here in her second professional drag race, she has made the semifinals. Everyone is talking about Lucille and Shirley, and I asked her about a rivalry between herself and Miss Muldowney.
No, I really don't consider her my rival at all. I think she inspired me to do this myself. If we're both in the finals, then it's going to be a good race.
Lucille, you have one sort of an advantage in that all the other drivers, with the possible exception of Shirley, are in the bowels of the engine. They've got their sleeves rolled up, they've got wrenches and tools in their hand, and they're concerned and they're working. It may be tiring, but it also may keep their mind off the next round. You're just standing here watching the work. Would you rather be working on the car?
No, I don't know anything about the car.
Well, of course, for years it was considered absolutely necessary to know everything you could mechanically about your car. Now Lucille comes along and maybe there's a new way.
Well, she's proven that you don't have to understand automobiles to make the semifinals. Dick LaHaye, a 20-year veteran with only one national win to his credit, coming up against the 4-month veteran, Lucille Lee. LaHaye won 2 years ago in Englishtown, New Jersey for his only national triumph. We wait now for the green light to see whether the final will hold two women, and they're off, and Lucille smokes her tires, and LaHaye goes down, and he'll mix with Shirley Muldowney when it's all over. And Dick LaHaye takes the clock at 5.930 seconds, 234.98 miles an hour to go against Shirley Muldowney in the Top Fuel final. And Lucille Lee's disappointing time of 7.336 seconds reflected a speed of only 123.79 miles an hour.
And Chris, look who's congratulating Dick LaHaye. It's Shirley Muldowney herself. Let's have another look at that run, especially focusing on Lucille Lee on the left there in the blue car. She comes off the line looking very, very good. But right here, see the smoke coming off her rear tires, too much wheel spin, and that's where she lost the race.
That's a no-no in any drag race. And here's Dick LaHaye, the Michigander, getting out of his car. He's looking forward to preparing the machine and going into the finals against Shirley Muldowney. It's funny car final time now, with Raymond Beadle and the famous Blue Max in the near lane, the challenger Al Segrini in his car in the far lane. Beadle, a 3-time world champion and one of the biggest winners in funny car racing, is the heavy favorite in this competition now, waiting for the light to go green. They rev up their engines, watching the Christmas tree. There are the lights, and it's away. And Beadle and Segrini hit the throttle at the same moment. Flame belches the exhaust, and Segrini pulls ahead to beat Beadle by the better part of a car length. A remarkable upset for the Massachusetts rider, and his crew is extremely happy. His speed, 238.09 miles an hour, 6.262 seconds in beating the man from Dallas. And so Al Segrini, who waited almost 8 years for this victory, is about to be overwhelmed by his happy crew. It's main event time, the Top Fuel final, and Shirley Muldowney in the starring role. Dick LaHaye, in a sense, in a supporting role. Shirley, twice a world champion. Dick LaHaye, only one victory in 20 years of competition.
Chris, Shirley is also an expert shot with a pistol. She's in her early 40s, and you know, in spite of her age, she is known for her fast reflexes, her fast starts off of the line.
Oh, there's her son, John. Oh, the engine stopped. The car stalled. Oh, unbelievable. Oh, this puts her out of the race, Sam. The rules say that once an engine stalls after the burnout, it may not be restarted. Its rule is hardly ever implemented. It's a tough break for Shirley Muldowney, and here comes Dick LaHaye. And for him to win the Top Fuel final honors, all he has to do is loaf down the strip.
What an incredible development for her. As you said, Chris, this is something that almost never happens. We haven't seen it at any time during this meet.
I don't know whether all those people pushing a car are aware that they're not allowed to restart it. Now Dick LaHaye is ready to go. He's waiting for the light to send him on his way, and he can just, in a sense, cruise down the strip.
That's all he has to do, drive very slowly. That's John Muldowney there, Shirley's son. He waves to Dick LaHaye, obviously a dejected young man. Here's LaHaye. As you said, Chris, all he has to do is drive slowly down there, but he chooses to make quite a charge and almost has some trouble there. He gets it straightened out, gets through the light, but it wasn't an exceptionally fast run. It was 6.119 seconds, which isn't exceptional, and top speed at the end of 231 miles an hour. Well, I've raced for a lot of years, and I can tell you this. When you race and lose, that's bad. But when you don't even get to race, that's the worst thing that can happen to you. My feeling really goes out to Shirley there. Of course, by contrast, the weekend for Dick LaHaye has been exceptional. The 40-year-old Michiganer, his crew now going down to see him at the end of the line, has won himself $16,000. Here's Chris with Shirley.
Well, Shirley, the favorite to win, and you never got off the line. Mechanical trouble, I know, but what kind?
It just lost fire, and that sometimes happens with new cars. It could be something in the fuel tank, but Dick LaHaye was having the same problem all weekend long, and they had to go out there and kind of prime it with gasoline, and John was there with the gas. I don't know what happened yet.
In layman's language, the engine stalled, right?
It did. It stalled.
You don't look too disappointed.
I'm very disappointed, but I'm happy for Dick because he's my hero. And it was a great race, and there's going to be another one.